Good day, everyone. Welcome to our Design Like a Pro Masterclass 8 once more. So in this video, we are going to be talking about how to be creative, how to design better lettermark and wordmark logos, which are the first and second types of logo design. So I'm going to be explaining how you can be more creative. So you may want to get your pen and paper, you can jot down things, or you can just save this video. So the first thing is try to stick to capital fonts. By capital fonts, I don't mean capital per se. I mean formal fonts. One of the most formal fonts we have is what we call Montserrat. I'll show you one of the examples of that. This is Montserrat. This is Montserrat font. This is a formal font. It's a very formal font. So that's one thing you want to try to do, especially when you are designing for companies that are formal. Try to keep to Montserrat Montserrat fonts. There are different types of fonts under Montserrat, but the family of those fonts is called Montserrat. So try to keep to those fonts. So this is the logo I made using Montserrat font. Let me show you the colorful one of that. So I use Montserrat to make this logo. So try to keep to Montserrat fonts, capital fonts per se, when making logos, especially when you are going to put a symbol beside your logo. Although when you are adding a symbol beside your logo, it is no longer a lettermark logo or a wordmark logo. But just try to remember to always use capital fonts. It just depends on the brand you are designing for. Like I saw some of us in the designs we made, we used playful fonts for the JOC, the oil company. But does it really make sense that an oil company should have playful fonts? Does it? Because an oil company is a formal kind of setting. So please take note of that. So the fonts you use is actually according to who you are designing for, right? But one thing that could always go is capital. By capital I mean formal fonts. Like now, ordinarily, I most people use playful fonts when designing for a toy shop. Like this logo I made is for a toy shop, but you can see here I just made my logo formal. It doesn't make me wrong, but someone can just tell me that it would have been better if I used a playful font to express what I want to express better, right? But if you are confused between what to use and what not to use, then you can just keep to capital fonts. You understand me? So on the other hand, you can make mistakes and use playful fonts when you are not meant to, but capital fonts are as good as always acceptable. There's no way you use them that somebody will say, "Oh, you did is wrong." The only thing they can say is, "Okay, this is good, but you can make it better by making it a playful font." So it is safer to play around capital fonts. By capital, I mean formal fonts. That's the first thing you should note when you are making logos. Then please try to keep to very few colors in your logo, except maybe when you are designing for toy shops. Like this one was for a toy shop. That's why I say I used so many colors and the person even asked for it. If not, apart from that, try to keep to few colors. So I'll show you other examples of logos I've made, kept to few colors there. So you see this logo is just black and white. In fact, black and white is not bad. You should actually try to use black and white for most of your designs, except when the brand says, okay, our brand colors must be what will be on our logo. You know, some brands have colors they use, like Coca-Cola uses red. So let's say if you are designing a logo for Coca-Cola, they may say, okay, this logo must be red since our brand color is red. Do you understand? If not, even in those situations, try not to use more than 1, 2, 3 colors, not more than 3 colors, except when you are now designing logos for places like toy shops or people that have to do with art. You get all this creative or fun kind of section. That's when you can use many colors, but most times try to keep to 3 colors only. Don't go more than that, and you can even limit it to 2. So another thing that will make your design stand out is to add something creative. Always add something creative. Always add something creative. Now it could be something as simple as just adding, like I saw the logo Ini made. She just added the JOC logo. She just added one oil sign in the O, which is very creative, because word mark and letter mark logos, they are very tricky. Because why? It's just a writing. It's just writing. You are not adding symbols. You are not adding the picture of anybody. Just you writing out. So if it's just you writing out, you want to be creative with what you are writing. Do you understand me? So there are different ways to be creative. Like now, this logo, what is here is GOP. Now you can see the way I made my G big. Then I put the O and the P in the G with a circle around it. And then I wrote God's own people. So to get these creative ideas, like I said, check for logos that have been made before on Google, on Pinterest. Pinterest is another good place to get ideas. Those 2 places, you get many good ideas that you can now use to recreate your own logo. But try to always add something creative. In fact, the Toggle logo I gave you that logo for a reason. Remember I said I should make a logo for a company named Toggle. I wanted to see somebody that will make the G face each other. I wanted to see somebody do that. Make the G face each other. Not that the G's are the normal way they are written normally. Make the G's face each other. So let me see if I can get a logo on that on Google, so I understand what I mean. Toggle logo. Let me see if I can see something on that. Toggle. Let me see if I can see somebody that did something like that. Okay, let me try this. Okay, I'm not saying that, but just keep it in mind. You could have done something in which the G's face each other instead of putting it the normal way you write your G. So just keep that at the back of your mind. So the main lesson I want you to learn is that you should always add something creative, even if it's one thing, when making your logos. Another thing you can do is something like this. I'm talking about you notice that this S is actually the same color with the background, but it's still visible. Do you understand? This is another creative thing you can add to your logos, especially when you're designing logos that are 3-letter words. Sorry, 3-letter words, abbreviations like this. This is what we call letter mark logos, right? Abbreviations. So when you're designing abbreviations like this, you can do something like this. This is a very creative way to design your letter mark logos. So just basically go online, search through other brands, take something creative from any of those brands, then put it in your logo. So your logo has a creative touch, so it stands out from other people's own. So the way they made this was just that they wrote the S, they wrote the P separate, wrote the S separate, wrote the C separate. Then at the back of the S, they put a shape. that is the same color with P and C. So that shape at the back of the S is what is now making the S visible. And mind you, the S will enter into the C small. So you could try this during your free time, and if you have any problem at all, you could just message me. Then another way to make your logos creative is to add shapes. A good example of somebody that added shapes to their logo is BBC logo. So as simple as this logo is, it's still very beautiful. And one of the things beautifying this logo is the shapes they put in it. So try to always add shapes to your logo. Don't let me say always, but it's another way to be creative with your logo design, adding shapes to your logo. So take note of those things, your shapes, your colors. Take note of them when designing, so that it makes your design stand out. So those are just a few ways to make your lettermark and wordmark logo creative. Another thing I would like to talk about is you being somebody that searches a lot for fonts. Now you notice that there are some brands that they just wrote their company name in small letter. But you notice that when you actually look at those logos, they are very beautiful. And you notice that the only reason why those logos are very beautiful is because the font that they used is very rare. Let me try to search logos in small letters. See if I can see something. Okay, see good examples here. So you see all these guys now, they are very popular brands. But then you notice that their logos are actually very beautiful to look at. Look at Twitter now. The font that was used for Twitter is not a popular one. The font used for Adobe, the font used for Amazon, in fact, the fonts used for all these brands here, they are not popular fonts. So even as it was as simple as this, just writing out the name of the brand, you can see that the fonts is mainly what makes the logo special. Let's look at other examples here. Look at Deezer, look at Slink. All these guys, all they did was write their names out. But what makes their logo special is the fonts they used. So you want to be somebody that downloads fonts a lot. Remember yesterday we talked about how to download fonts. If you have any question on that, please make sure you ask. So you want to be somebody that downloads a lot of fonts, so that when you are making designs that are as simple as this, what would beautify your design is the fonts you are using. So take note of that also. So those are just the few tips I wanted to drop for you to know and to use when making your wordmark and your lettermark logos.